Let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, food security and food sovereignty. So if we can get the panelists up here. We will begin with Indian Health Service Produce Prescription Pilot Program, the intersection of produce prescriptions and indigenous food systems, moderated by Stacy Hammer from the National Nutrition Consultant in the Division of Diabetes Treatment and Prevention of the Indian Health Service. Stacy will introduce the panelists, and I'm passing it over to you guys. So welcome.
Thank you.
They look great, don't they? Yeah.
Oh, I think we're good. Yeah, thanks. Well, thank you so much to my sister Denise. We were back there laughing. I hope you guys didn't hear us, but you can't not laugh at the dad jokes that come out of Denise. I just love listening to her. So, Ahanawash Day, everyone, and welcome to the Native American Nutrition Conference. I hope you guys are all enjoying your time here so far. I have actually been to all of them, and I've been a planning committee member now, I believe the last I think the first year was the only year I wasn't on it. Really excited to be a part of this conference. It is by far my favorite conference over the last 10 years. I think maybe some of you hopefully feel the same. It's not a very didactic, sit down and watch a bunch of slides kind of conference. It's a lot of sharing, a lot of backgrounds, and I just absolutely love this conference. So as Denisa mentioned, I am the IHS National Nutrition Consultant. I've been within the Division of Diabetes Treatment and Prevention for the last 2 years. Prior to my experience with IHS, I was with the Lower Sioux Indian community. I'm also an enrolled member of Yaqui, otherwise known as the Lower Sioux Indian community. And one thing I wanted to mention too about this conference is, I believe it was the second conference where I was able to announce the day before I came in to Shakopee, we had signed in our community our first ever healthy foods policy. And so it was called, or still is called, the Honoring Little Crow with Healthy Indigenous Foods Policy. And this morning, if you were able to take part in the panel, which was amazing to listen to, Julie Ralston Yaqui was able to, you had the opportunity to meet her as well. And so she was actually our attorney from the Public Health Law Center. So those connections and the things that we've been able to build up in our community, a lot of that has come through conversations at this conference and just the networking and opportunities and relationship building. So I really do appreciate all the time that we get to spend together at this conference. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started because I really want to get to the good stuff, and that's talking to our grantees. Okay, so food security versus nutrition security. As you can see, that is my colleague Kelly Begay's family on the picture there, and her mom is actually out there as a vendor. So if you see her, that's the celebrity in the blue T-shirt there. So just to define, food security for a household means access by all members at all times to enough food for an active, healthy life. Nutrition security, on the other hand, means that all Americans have access to healthy, safe, affordable foods essential to optimal health and well-being. I don't think any of this is not information that you don't already know, but I still think that we need to call this out when we talk about nutrition security. So obviously there are some historical determinants of food insecurity in our communities, such as treaties with tribal nations promised rations of food in exchange for land, and those rations typically consisted of food items such as lard and wheat flour, which were unfamiliar and nutritionally inadequate compared to our traditional diets. Further generational factors came from restricting tribal communities' capability to hunt, fish, and gather the foods that they had survived on for centuries. I also wanted to share the IHS definition of food as medicine that was just established about 2 years ago. And that is, food as medicine is a practice rooted in traditional ecological knowledge passed down for generations. Food is sacred, healing, connects all living beings, and should be provided through efforts supporting tribal food sovereignty and disease treatment and or prevention. Food as medicine is very broad. I'm sure a lot of you have heard a lot about it. In our tribal communities, that could be something like what we're going to talk about with produce prescription programs. It could be medically tailored meals. It could be CSAs. There's a lot involved with food as medicine, and there's been a lot of food as medicine work within the federal space. We had the White House Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, nutrition and health. And the federal agencies HHS had a federal agencies food as medicine work group that is still meeting. We do meet monthly as well. With the transition of the new administration, we are still meeting and we are still working collectively together to help better support our communities. So I just wanted to mention that. And if you go to the HHS website, they have a food as medicine virtual toolkit that we had worked on for the last 2 years, it was launched in 2024 in September. So it's been out there for about a year now, and there is actually an article on there about our P4 program. It is called the Empowering Indigenous Food Sovereignty Through Collaborative Education and Action. It's a Bright Spot article if you want to check that out as well. Oh my gosh, my Minnesota O just really came out strong there. I almost sounded Canadian. All right, so I wanted to briefly discuss produce prescription programs. For those of you in the room, is everyone familiar, or how many, for a show of hands, who's familiar with what produce prescription programs are? All right, great, okay. So basically, produce prescription programs obviously are programs where you can go through a voucher program, you see your physician or your primary care provider, they provide a referral to your services for produce. And so that could be in the form of vouchers, it could be in the form of food boxes or food bags. So you'll hear from some of our grantees today as well as tomorrow on what their programs are doing with their produce prescription programs. But one thing I did want to mention on this slide is just, really looking at the studies and some of the evidence that has come to support produce prescription programs. So there have been some results from surveys, including improvements in fruit and vegetable consumption, food security, self-reported health status in both adults and children, and improvements in hemoglobin A1C, blood pressure, and body mass index among adults. So this announcement went out in 2023 that Indian Health Service awarded $2.5 million to reduce food insecurity in our tribal communities. I believe we received 60 applications, and through an objective review process, we had enough funding to fund 5 programs. And so that's what you'll hear from 2 of them today. And as I mentioned, in a breakout session tomorrow, you'll hear from the other 3. So I do encourage you to check them out as well. And these are our 5 grantees. So the 2 on the stage right now that you'll get to meet, Gabriel Vega is from the Pascua Yaqui tribe, and Misha Pete is from the Rocky Boy Health Center up in Montana. Which is great, because again, it's great to have these pilot programs from 5 different communities, because we know all of our communities are very unique. And so it's great to have these 5 different communities approaching this in so many different ways. One common theme with all 5 communities, and it should be of no surprise to anyone in this room, that they are consistently engaged with their community. So it is a very much a community-led initiative in each of these 5 communities. So I just wanted to briefly go over the program goals, and that is to, as you see on the screen, to demonstrate and evaluate the impact of produce prescription programs on American Indian and Alaska Native people and their families by reducing food insecurity, improving overall dietary health by increasing fruits, vegetables, and traditional food consumption, and improving healthcare outcomes. All right, so this is the fun part. So I'm really excited about this. This is actually going to be, so this is the IHS P4 Establishing Roots video. It will be released on the IHS Nutrition website tomorrow, so you guys are getting a sneak peek, so we're pretty excited about that. And this video highlights how our P4 grantees have established their P4 in their communities. It was their implementation year. We interviewed them last August 2024, and here is their story.
The P4 grant has evolved. The first year there was a lot of struggles getting through council and getting up every line signed and everybody in on it, and then starting the actual program. So it did get off to a slow start, but I feel like it's really heading in a great direction now. Um, I'm very excited for it, and I know that it's really helping our people in the community. And we have some exciting things coming up this next year, and I just see it growing.
Most rewarding thing is to actually visit with the people, sit down with them and talk to them about their health. That's something that they really appreciate. When you sit down with a person and ask them to maybe think a little bit more about nutritional food, maybe even planting their own garden, that's rewarding because you know they want to meet the program halfway. Farming is a big deal that I'd like to get our people back into, getting the resources and then giving them the knowledge that they can actually get out and do things for themselves. We have a saying in our Navajo language, it's up to you.
One of the things that we've noticed right away is that it allowed us to focus on the cultural foods of the community as a way of bringing the concept of food as medicine. And we've noticed that the community has responded to that concept really well. And there has been this enthusiasm around focusing on the foods that have been enjoyed from the desert for hundreds, if not thousands of years. We have partnered with farmers in southern Arizona that are all local. They're all small farmers. So the food that we provide to our community is harvested at their peak ripeness. So when we provide it to the families, they have a higher nutritional value, and we're able to present them, sometimes for the first time, organic produce as part of their daily regimen. So we're working with them continuously, and we do a lot of workshops and we do cooking demonstrations. Our registered dietitian provides them with a lot of that health information that is also part of the program, which we enjoy, and the community has also shared that they enjoy as well. The feedback that we're currently receiving from the community is that they are enjoying having the opportunity to be able to prepare these meals as a family, and they are getting exposed to sometimes produce that they may have never purchased on their own before. So our job with that information is to continue to inform them about how to be able to incorporate it into the normal food that they consume, but also to be able to give them alternatives on how to prepare it. So that's one of the things that we actually do hands-on with them.
It connects our community to one another. It's boosting some of our economy through our local farmers. We just initiated a local farmers market, and we're collaborating with our local farmers, and Nadine has played a big role in that, of getting in contact with them and coordinating all of that. So it's had a really positive, huge impact on our community.
They've really collaborated with the community, and it's only for 2 hours a day. I'm sorry, on a Saturday, but the community shows up
Yeah.
and we kind of all get together, seeing people that we haven't seen in quite a long time. So it's making a positive impact on our Pueblo.
We're all just learning from each other, and the feedback is really good. They're letting us know, hey, this is what worked for us, this isn't what's not working. So, and it's just compromising with them, supporting one another is really what it is. So I feel like a lot of the feedback we've gotten has been really positive.
Hearing the compliments that we've got so far from the program has been awesome as well. Seeing the change, seeing people happy, seeing my elders smile and come up to me saying thank you. And then this is another part about it that makes it so great. I'm not from the Chippewa Creek community, so for people to come up to me that are from that community and welcome me and say thank you, you know, it's not just me, but, you know, it hits me. It's not only just for the community, but for my family. I want my kids and their kids and their grandkids and my you know, so forth. Let's make that change. That's what I want to see. And I would like to have that for all the community. I would love to see all communities, all Native people communities, you know, eliminate any type of chronic disease, diabetes. You know, together we can do it. It's just, we just gotta stick together.
Thank you. Yes, we're very proud of that video. The grantees did an amazing job in the interviews, and we let them, we shouldn't say we let them, we asked them if they would please view a draft of it back in May. We really wanted their feedback and more pictures. So I'm so glad we went through that process with them because they provided us with even more beautiful pictures and more ideas. So this is definitely a team effort with that video, so we're very proud of that. So moving on, I am going to go ahead and have the pictures up here. My first question is going to be for Gabriel. So Gabriel, if you could just share a little bit about yourself, your background as an agricultural systems analyst, as well as your background in ecology, and how your program has been integrating local indigenous food systems through partnerships with local farmers.
Sure. Thank you all for coming. It's an honor to be here amongst you all. With brothers and sisters. So I've been farming for 20 years. I've farmed in New Mexico. I started off at Native Seed Search. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the seed bank in southern Arizona. And so being part of that and starting to grow traditional crops right out of college has set me on this path to be here. So I started off as a farmer. I became interested in our health-related diseases that affected our community, and so naturally I became involved with our grant, specific grant, and so my background in growing traditional crops naturally blends well with this program because we're able to incorporate a lot of these traditional foods that I've been growing into our community, and so our community doesn't really have access to a lot of these traditional crops. So like many of your communities, we're revitalizing these traditional foods. And so I'm honored to be able to grow these and then work with our community and be able to facilitate these foods into different programs within the tribe for food, not only our P4 program, but our food pantry. We're in the process of building a mini market, which is kind of like a fast food type place, but it's going to be traditional foods that are already prepared for our community, so they can just stop by and pick up a bowl of tepary beans or some corn on the cob or something that's that they can just take home and eat amongst their families.
All right. Thank you, Gabriel. Sure, of course. All right. So, Misha, again, if you could just share a little bit about yourself, I know you mentioned in the video that you're not necessarily from the Rocky Boy community, but share where you're originally from as well. And then if you could just talk with us a little bit about how you've developed partnerships to help supply traditional foods such as local meats to your P4 participants. Please feel free to share more and some of the partnerships with the tribal store on your reservation as well.
All right, perfect. Good morning, or good afternoon. Yate, everybody. So again, my name is Misha Pete. I moved to Montana. I'm originally from Arizona, and I'm from Cameron, Flagstaff area, Grand Canyon area. In 2011, I did move up to Rocky Boy with my husband. That's where we ended up, residing. And from there, we just decided to pick up and start our careers and everything there. But anyway, so moving forward, with our program, with the developing partnerships, we've actually been really able to do a lot. So thankfully within, where we're located based off of everybody else. So I don't know if you saw that, if you can see the map or the other map. But so like of all grantees, out of all 5 grantees, all of them are all mainly down south, and we're the only grantees that is up high, up north. So if you're not familiar with it, Rocky Boy right there, we're like literally probably like 30, 45 minutes away from the Canadian border. So, but anyway, so it's a little teeny tiny tribe, but within our tribe, we're able to, we do have a bunch of, obviously, community partners that are very goal-oriented and bringing back a lot of our traditional meals, a lot of our traditional meats, and a lot of traditional stuff, just like everybody else, right? So with that being said, one of our community partners, or several of our community partners joined together and they formed a Stone Child Ranch, or Buffalo Child Ranch, Buffalo Child Ranch. And that started in 2022, I believe, is when our first herd was brought to Rocky Boy. And that herd started out with a herd of 9, and I believe 4 of them were gifted from Salish, and then the rest were gifted from North or South Dakota. So once we got the buffalo there, it was only 9 herd, right? I actually just called my person this morning. I was like, hey, I'm interviewing blah, blah, blah. How many do you have in your herd now? 41. Isn't that amazing? So within that time frame, we're able to build that buffalo herd up that big. And with that being done, we're able to harvest. They harvest the buffalo and process it and do all that. And with the P4 program, we do have the our voucher system, right? So with the people who do come and sign up for our program, they get the vouchers, and then with that partner there, the Stone Child Ranch, they process the meat, and then they get it into our local vendor. So we have 4 vendors, and 2 of them are located within the reservation. The other 2 are outside, which are still kind of rural, and they're further away, 30 minutes away from our area. But anyway, so they get the bison into the stores, and with that, our participants are able to purchase either ground bison, ground patties, which is awesome, steaks, and that's all harvested from our local community. So really, it just kind of stays with all. It's a revolving thing within our community, but that's what I love. So that's one of the big partnerships that we have. And then also we have other community members or partners that recently just started, because of all this going on with the P4, they were like, okay, we have this program in our area, and like many of your areas, excuse me, in many of your reses in your little towns, you know, we always have that one store that's just junk food, right? Chips, soda, and we have one of those. So there's that one store, but, you know, and it really doesn't hold a lot of fresh produce. So with this program, and along with the bison and then just all of these things that, you know, our partners were able to just throw it together and be like, okay, let's get our grocery store here. So literally within the past month, we just opened up, Rocky Boy Res just opened up a little grocery store. And honestly, when I first walked through there, I almost cried because it's so big compared to what we have there. There's tons of fresh produce. There's tons of meat. There's, you know, and what's cool is that everything's going back into the same tribe, back into our community. It's not going out to other vendors outside the reservation. That's what I love about that. Though we do have those other 2 vendors though. So also with our program too, is that if you look on the screen, we do, one unique part of our program is that we do help purchase deer and elk tags for both bow and rifle season. So that there is to really push our community to you know, go for that wild game. Because we know wild game is healthy, right? It's like the best type of meat that you can get. So if you look at you know, here are some of our pictures. This is our recent flyer from this year. You know, P4 will purchase the deer and elk tag, blah, blah. So what they do with that is they come in and really, and so this is the thing with the program too, is that we have to have, we want the hunters to come in. So we do have participants, right? And they say like, oh, I have the tag, you know, can I sign up and then go have someone hunt for me? Our goal is to really try to capture, because we do partner a lot with diabetes as well in our area. So our goal is to really capture the vital part of it, right? How much these men and women do hike. Like, I don't know if you've all ever went hunting before, but like, so my husband recently went, and with his tracker, he easily, within one evening, he hiked almost 10 miles up and down, and this was just, you know, so that's another piece of information that we'd like to capture. But anyway, mainly, let's push that meat. You know, that's the unique part about this program, is that we're really able to push the traditional part of each of these communities' background, and I love that about this program. It's awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Misha.
Yep.
I love that. I love that whole, you know, that whole story of, you know, supporting the local economy, supporting your local hunters as well, and bringing that back into the community. And Misha just recently shared with us pictures in the new store. They have their P4 stickers in the areas within the store where those are so the P4 participants know which foods are available for them as well, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So before we go to questions, I just wanted to check in again with Gabriel. One thing I wanted to touch on too with you was the nutrition education classes that you guys are doing are phenomenal. And so nutrition education is also a big part of the P4 program as well. And so that is something that during the first year of implementation, all of the grantees had some sort of nutrition education programming starting. So they were in various stages of implementation with distribution and partnerships and things like that. But that was the one thing that across the board, all 5 had some really solid nutrition education. And so for Gabriel, I just wanted you to kind of talk about a little bit some of the things that you've been doing, like with gardening and the Yaqui crops and things like that.
Yeah, of course. So we've been implementing workshops based on seasonal varieties of traditional foods, but also wild foods. There was a slide earlier that showed the nopales, which is a prickly pear pad cactus that we consume not only the pads, but also the fruits. So we're incorporating traditional workshops as far as wild foods and as well as the crops that our ancestors used to eat. And one of the things is we aren't in the Pascua Yaqui tribe is in Tucson, which is on the outskirts of Tucson. And, you know, the city's been expanding and kind of moving into our area, and they've been building a lot of corporate fast food businesses around our community. So it's really vital that we share these traditional foods with our families and teach them how to grow these foods as well. So we have a program on Saturdays. This is another grant I oversee, is where we teach youth how to farm. It's really important that you start them when they're really young, to not only learn the traditional ways and of growing foods, and just being out in nature and touching soil. I know there's certain studies that say that when you touch soil, it provides comfort, and just being out in nature, the feeling of awe, getting these youth away from their phones and having them participate in farming, and seeing them smile and seeing them not having to worry about their phone and look on their phone is very rewarding. So with our nutrition, because we're the health department, our department is within the Pascua Yaqui Health Department, so we're able to team up with various entities within the department, and we have registered dietitians and other health educators that we team up with, and they're able to come to some of these workshops and provide the technical education surrounding, what we monitor. We monitor cholesterol, we monitor BMI, A1C, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Vegimeter, but we also have this device where we measure the carotenoids within that build up. Carotenoids are compounds found in fruits and vegetables, and they end up building up in your skin. And so this Vegimeter is a device that is able to measure. So we measure at baseline 6 months and 12 months. So we're hoping to, we're seeing some trends, upward trends in that, which is awesome. But yeah, our program, we also do vouchers as well. We didn't mention that. So we team up with local farms and we provide local produce to our participants, but we also give them tomi, which is cash in our UMA language. So we give them these $5 vouchers. We give them up to $50. We give them $50 that they can utilize for the month to go to the local food bank, farmers market, where they're able to purchase what they want, right? So on a weekly basis, we provide them with usually seasonal fruits and vegetables. We also purchase from Ramona Farms for some of the traditional dry goods, like the corn and the tepary beans. But it's important to source and support your local farmers, your indigenous farmers, and if some of you guys are starting these programs, I would encourage you guys to go to your farmers markets and ask, like, hey, what do you grow? Are you able to work with us? And a lot of times they are. So that's really important that we provide fresh seasonal foods, because they have the highest nutrition content compared to commercially farmed fruits and vegetables.
Thank you very much. All right, well, I think we have 5 minutes for questions. All right, first question. Will others be eligible to apply next year, or was this a one-time grant? So currently, we just started with this cohort. We just started year 3 on July 1st of this year of the 5-year grant program. Currently, we don't have any idea yet about whether or not we're going to have more funding in the future. We're starting to receive those questions from Congress, which is a good sign, I think. So I think the hope is to be able to expand this beyond our 5 grantees right now. Of course, being within the Division of Diabetes Treatment and Prevention, our hope is really for this to be somewhat of a program similar to the SDPI program, so that it is going to be a continuation of grant programs within the division as well. So this could be something that could open up and be something along the lines of produce prescription. It could be something along the lines of broadening as food is medicine. We're not quite sure, but as of right now, but as soon as we have some really good news that we may have more funding, we will definitely get that message out there. It'll be a full alert out there, and we'll be very excited to expand this program. Well, I think is that all for questions? Oh, there we go. Now it is. Okay. In your opinion, what strengths or existing capacity in your community enabled you to be ready to successfully implement a program like this? I'll let you guys each take that.
I think my background in agriculture and farming was a strength, just because I already had connections to local farmers and indigenous farmers. So I was able to coordinate with them and see how they can provide our weekly bag distributions. And so I think that's very helpful to have, to have a knowledge of growing these foods and cooking with them, and just that knowledge, and so you're able to share with your community from that level is important.
As far as my strengths in our community, I would say our partners. Really, I mean, like I said in that video, we can do it. We just have to join together. I think that gentleman said it perfectly earlier. He's mentioned something about, what if we're all to rally together? If we can do, if you can get partners in your community that talk to them, let them know, this is what I want to do, and being consistent. I think being consistent with each other and always being reliable with each other is important. So with our partners, they're really motivated, and that's one of our strengths, is they're really motivated, right? And they want to see the change. Also, they also have their own little networks within their community, which makes us that much stronger, I believe.
I think one of the things as well is that we're a pilot program, so there's flexibility on how we function, and listening to our families is vital for the success of the program. So, as I mentioned, being a pilot program tends to be helpful because you can switch things and turn things around.
Great point, both of you.
And I really do think that, having it be a pilot, of course, is an excellent idea, because I'm sure you've had many struggles and challenges just like we have. So this is awesome that we're able to iron out all these little things, and I love that question. That's great.
Yeah, it was an excellent question. And I'll just add to that real quick because we have 1 minute. So as they mentioned, and partnerships was huge, I think, because one of the first questions, I think it may even come from you, Gabriel, was, how are we going to sustain this after 5 years? What is this going to look like? So like a lot of questions like that would come up, like billing, is that eventually going to be something, and how do we partner and collaborate within our own community programs, but then also external programs as well. And so we're seeing that a lot with all of the grantees, I would say. And then really community engagement. That is by far, you need to talk to your community. You really need to, as Julie mentioned this morning, community health assessments, food sovereignty assessments, ask those questions, but not just ask those questions, but put them into action. Share that information with your community. What came from those questions? Sharing all of that information with your community through that process is really key to success in community as well. And I've seen that with all 5 of these grantees. So, all right, our time is up. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.